Where do we stand at the end of a week that started extraordinarily chaotic in Afghanistan and now seems to be stabilizing a bit? We're getting some Americans out and getting those that supported America's efforts in Afghanistan over the past 20 years out. How does the White House feel about where we are today?
Well, I think they're feeling a little calmer today than they were earlier in the week. They reported this morning that they've now shipped out 9,000 people this week. Most of the Americans who are trying to get out, they believe, have been able to get out. There are still some there. Obviously, there are many Afghans who have allied with us over the years who are still there. But it's a very perilous moment still. The Taliban is in control outside the airport. That has the potential to blow up at any moment. They know that. But the fear of a sort of Iranian hostage situation where Americans were in some ways harmed directly or held hostage on the way out, the fear of that seems to be receding a little bit as these planes are taking off and landing with a certain degree of regularity at this point. The broader issue, of course, is still there, which is, now that we have turned over Afghanistan to the Taliban, what have we, left behind? The 38 million Afghans who will still be there, will not be evacuated, are now going to be subjected, of course, to one of the most repressive regimes that modern times has seen. That's something, of course, that will play out in the weeks and months to come with pictures and stories that will no doubt make the Biden administration uncomfortable, even as they stand by their decision.
Well, and John Heilemann, I'll ask you the same question, and let's look at it through a political lens, as many people have. You have, before this happened, you had 75% of Americans, according to some polls, who wanted us out. Saw a poll come out later in the week, this week, that showed that an overwhelming majority of Americans didn't think fighting in Afghanistan was worth it or fighting in Iraq was worth it. Most people want our troops home. I'm wondering, as we move further away from this story, how much it fades in Americans' mind, and they end up, despite hating the way it happened and the chaos, if most Americans won't, as we move forward, say, well, yeah, we should have been out of there anyway.
Right. Well, I think, Joe, number one, on the politics of it, right? First of all, the White House has been disciplined. Sometimes you pointed out that Joe Biden was, I think yesterday you used the word brittle, which I thought was a good word for his interview with George Stephanopoulos. So there's been evident frustration and with the way the story's been covered and with the facts on the ground, obviously, in the administration. But they've been very disciplined throughout the week in trying to continue to frame the message here as being the story should be the thing you just mentioned: overwhelming American support for ending the war in Afghanistan. If they can keep that conversation on that question, should we stay, should we go, that is an argument they think they can win in the long term, and I think they're probably right about that. If the discussion is framed around how the exit took place, that's a discussion they're much less comfortable with because those images were terrible and because people don't like what they saw. But as time fades, and Peter pointed out correctly, 9,000 Americans are out. I think the one stat I would add to that, I believe there's not been yet an American death on the way out the door. And if they can continue along that path and be able in the end to say we got all the Americans out and no one died, that will help to put the short-term focus on how the execution of this played out, put that in the rearview mirror and stay focused on the large question, which is that Americans wanted us out of Afghanistan, like it or not. The other thing I think, though, that the White House is concerned about long term is up until last week, there's not been any daylight between the White House and any element of the Democratic Party. They have had almost no internal party criticism, even when you've seen some on the left make noise about the domestic legislative agenda and trying to hold Nancy Pelosi's feet to the fire, or moderates doing the same. Criticism of the White House, if you look back to January, has been almost non-existent until this week. And this is the first time the White House has been in the crosshairs from various factions of the party, from obviously a lot of former veterans, the Seth Moldens of the world, but also from progressive women who are concerned about the fate of Afghan women and girls. So this first time they've had to face that. And it's an uncomfortable position to have had 8 months free of criticism. And now to have your own party going after you in this way, it's sort of a sign that the honeymoon is over. The question is whether they can now pull the party back once they get past this and get back to the kind of solidarity they had before. That's going to be the job for them going forward politically as we head into the fall.